Am I recording? Yes, I am. Okie dokie. How is everyone? Did you all do your active reading yesterday and start answering the questions? Yeah. Okay.
Just in Word, it doesn't allow me to write over the lines.
No, you can get rid of the lines as long as you use only 4 lines of text.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the lines are just an indication.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Now, in this class, we're gonna go over the questions and discuss them. Then you're allowed to fix them if you feel like they need to be fixed, and you can upload them again if you already uploaded them and you change them, you can upload them again. Hi, Zoe now. So, first question, as we approach the flexible hybrid model for our class, what do you consider to be the most relevant change to the syllabus? So we went over the changes really carefully, but I don't know which ones you consider to be the most important. So tell me, let's discuss. Anyone? Bueller?
That this partial we won't have an exam. We will have like a final project.
That's a very big change, yes. No exam. Yep, just activities, which, I mean, honestly, we're gonna, it's like if we worked on the exam gradually because you're gonna be answering questions constantly, but it won't be in one swoop during 1 hour, right? So that's a big change. Anyone else?
Yeah, the Zoom sessions.
What? Couldn't hear you.
Work methodology.
The Zoom sessions in general, using Zoom.
So the work methodology changed drastically. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, in some ways it's kind of the same because we're still together and discussing things. But on the other hand, it has to
No,
be, I mean, what I'm saying is it's not completely different, but it's very different. So we do need to adapt to some things, right? Now, anyone else? Any questions? No? So that's a good segue into this second question, which is what techniques suggested by the Crash Course Study Skills videos do you intend on using to avoid procrastination and concentration fatigue? So the thing is, I mean, one of the hugest changes that come with this system is that, notice it or not, when you're taking a normal class in a classroom, you at least have to get ready in the morning, leave your house, and enter a specific room for 1 hour where one person is talking to you for 1 hour about a specific topic. So it kind of forces you into this situation where you kind of have to concentrate, and maybe you don't, but at the same time, you're still spending time listening to that person and doing specific activities. So your time is kind of organized for you. And in this system, a big change is you kind of have to organize your time for yourself, which can be difficult, mostly because it has to do with knowing yourself and knowing what works for you. So those videos were about looking at strategies that will allow you to take the hours that you would use to dedicate to this class and actually use them productively, right? So what strategies did you guys find more useful?
Of working during 25 minutes and then doing a small pause and then again working. And
the Pomodoro method, right? Yeah. So they talk about the Pomodoro method like it's this innovative thing, but it's just basically organizing your own time, right? So I think that's very useful. I think that it would be, I mean, it depends. I think it would be better to just dedicate the 2 hours of class on Tuesday and Thursday to doing whatever activities you have and then not worrying about it. But if what works for you is just taking an afternoon for everything history and another afternoon for everything math or whatever, that also works. I mean, that's the flexible part. Yeah. But measuring your own time and organizing it is the most important part. Anyone else? What other parts did you find useful?
The taking notes when like you divide it into 3 parts. Main ideas, then questions, and after all that, the summary. I think it's a good idea, and I'm going to try to include it in the things we see.
Yeah, I also think that's a good idea. And something that's very important is don't be afraid to switch it up, right? If you feel like that format with the 3 columns is a little too complicated and you feel like one of them is not that useful for you, just don't do it anymore. It's all about exploring what works for you, right? Anyone else? Because for me, for example, taking notes that are that detailed doesn't really work for me in the moment because I'm not that organized in the moment. So I usually just focus on the main ideas, but it's very useful to have the questions there already. Now, did anyone notice the cold turkey method? No. The one where you use an app to block all other websites for a specific amount of time? Did that ring a bell for anyone?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've never tried it because I don't have Facebook and 20 other. So
I mean, I tried it, but it didn't really work for me because I realized that my distraction moments are not about doing other things, but about taking a break. So I would use the app, but instead of looking at Facebook, I would just stare into space for 5 minutes. So it didn't really work for me, but it works for some people. So try it out and explore options, right? Look at what would work for you to make your time more productive. So any questions, any other suggestions, any other techniques you were like, yes, this technique? No? Yes? Anyone? Sabina doesn't have a camera. Sabina. Hi.
I don't want you to see me eating.
It's okay. You eat in class. We can see you eating here. Okay. So any other strategies?
I don't eat in class.
Okay, fine. Any other suggestions? No? Okay.
one that isn't in the video is the Buyo. Do you know about it?
The what?
Buyo, bullet journal.
Oh, bullet journal, yeah. Do you do that?
Yes, here.
Cool. That requires a lot of mental structure, which I don't think I have.
And skills.
Not really, because like some people try to decorate it a lot, and I just do lines and write the calendar. And the thing is that you have an index, so you can come later to whatever you wrote on that page.
Yeah, because it involves having an index, but also having like 2 parallel lists, right? So it's like one daily list and one list of longer term things.
Kind of. It depends on what you want to do with it.
Okay. Do you follow any specific method for that? Because I believe there's a few of them, right?
Just like I do have like my monthly stuff, but I just write there are things that I could do that month but aren't that important. And for example, for school, I kind of like color coded it, and I put it in the day I have to turn it in.
Cool. So there you go. Another really creative way of being organized. Now we're gonna. Any questions before we move on? No. Okay. So now we're gonna entrar en materia, and we're gonna talk about question number 4. The concepts of nationalism and fatherland. Can we find them in the article about the NFL players? What do you think?
Yes.
Yes? How?
Yes.
Now remember, this question is conceptual, so you have to define the concept and then apply it.
Well, nationalism was about, well, I don't know how to explain, but it said that there wasn't like a dynasty or a god or something that was significant, but it resided on the people. And the concept was present because it was not exactly nationalism what they were saying, because what they said is that people were not worthy of governing themselves. So
who's saying that?
it goes kind of against in the source of the active reading.
Oh, you're talking about the Voltaire reading. No? No, okay. Okay. So, yes, continue. Oh, we frozen? Oh, no, we were frozen for a minute. Okay.
No, I don't know.
Okay, someone else? Anyone else? What did you
just what?
What did other people answer?
You're freezing for a bit.
I'm freezing. Here, 1 second.
In your video, you gave the definition of nationalism as believe that nations should be allowed to act independently.
And do we see that in the article about the NFL players?
Oh, well, just kind of. Well,
How?
because, wait.
So that's a good start because you define the concept. You tell us nationalism is the belief that nations should be allowed to act independently, right? Now, we have a situation where there is a country, the United States, which has a government that's telling NFL players, you have to stand for the national anthem because that's what we do in this country. And NFL players are saying, I am not standing for the national anthem or the flag because they don't represent what I stand for, right? Because they talk about equality, but they're not treating me as an equal because we are Black or we are minorities or whatever, right? So would we see nationalism in that situation?
Well, by the part of the of the players.
The players?
Well, Trump doesn't go to nationalism.
Doesn't?
I'm confused.
I'm only asking because to be clear on what you're saying, not because it's wrong or right. I just want to understand what you're saying. So you said Trump isn't nationalist?
Well, I got a little confused here.
Okay, why?
So the players doesn't want to. Okay, the players are like acting independently because they don't relate to the thing that the flag is representing.
Well, the thing is, it's one thing for individuals to act independently. Like, for example, right now, I am independently deciding to drink water, right? But that's not a nation acting independently. To talk about nationalism, you need a nation or a country to act independently, to say, we are Mexico and we will do whatever Mexico wants, right?
No, but for example, I thought that nationalism was like identifying yourself with like a group of people that form a country, kind of.
It involves identification that we're all actually going to go into a little more detail about this next week. So it does involve identifying with a community, but when it's nationalism, it's identifying with a nation and believing that this nation should be allowed to act by itself. Yeah.
Okay. Then there's nationalism with the players because they have other ideals that involve the country, and they're basically stating this is not what this country should stand for, kind of.
Now the thing is, did you look at the concept of fatherland?
Yeah, kind of.
So what does that one mean?
Let me. I had my notes here in the computer.
So they're similar, but kind of distinct.
Fatherland is patria.
What? What did you say, Elias?
Yeah. Fatherland is patria.
So in Spanish, it's called patria. Yes, but what does it mean?
That regardless of social status, people belong to something or someone, to a place.
People belong to a place.
To a place.
So the point here is they're both concepts that believe in they're kind of interpretations of equality, right? They're saying regardless of social status, we have certain duties to our country, right? Either because we belong to it, like when we talk about fatherland, or because we need to promote its interests, like with nationalism, right? So the thing is, when we talk about fatherland, it's a situation where people say, so we have a country, and regardless of what they do to us here, we are all equal because we all belong to this place. And if this country, for example, the United States, just says that what represents them is equality, then we also have a say in how this equality works. And if we are Black and not being treated like we are equals to white people making all the decisions, then maybe we, regardless of whether if we are breaking any rules, we also have a say in how equality works, because we're all equal in that we belong to this fatherland. Now, nationalism, on the other hand, means the country itself, the government, or people that belong to a country saying, we don't care what other countries think. Maybe us in Mexico are like, well, whatever, just let them kneel for the national anthem. It doesn't matter. But in the United States, people are going to be like, we don't care what you think, Mexicans. In the United States, you stand for the national anthem. That's how it is. That's how it works, right? So that would be a nationalist response where you're kind of excluding outsiders, right? And like saying we are a nation and we are allowed to do whatever we want within our nation because we can decide how we do things, right?
So then there is nationalism from Trump's part.
From what?
From Trump's part, like saying that if you're American, you should stand before the flag and sing?
I would think so, yes. But what's important to notice here is that while the players are acting according to what we saw as the meaning of fatherland, they're not really being nationalistic, right? They're mostly trying to make an argument of equality against a nationalist perspective that maybe ignores the fact that they are not treated as equals. Yeah, kind of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of weird because to talk about this topic, because the thing is, are we as Mexicans unfamiliar with the concept of nuestra patria? Had we never heard that word?
No, we have.
We hear a lot, right? Same thing with, for example, we just had el 16 de septiembre, and if we all spent it around in Mexico City or close to here, we probably did similar things, right? So what kind of things would we do?
Eat pozole.
So eat Mexican food, right? Very specific dishes. Did we see a wide diversity of flags around us?
No, only one.
One specific flag,
The Mexican
right?
flag.
Did we all hear a lot of languages being spoken in the celebration?
Nope.
Not at all. Spanish, right? Now, did we hear a lot of different types of music and songs, or very specific genres and songs?
Specific ones.
Specific ones, right? Now, imagine we are in that context where we are all speaking the same language, we are all promoting Mexican culture, and then we have someone from Guatemala be like, hey, we're all equals, we're all the same, let me party with you, I want pozole. Would they fit right in? Would they be like, yes, Guatemalteco, come on in? Yes or no? Depends. It's awkward. It's a little awkward, right? And we're talking about a country that is very similar to Mexico, has the same Independence Day, Same Independence Day, so they're literally partying the same day, right? They were part of the same colony, so same colonial past, same independence process, so same language. So even among similar countries, the nationalist aspect is very particular. It's very exclusionary. It's like us and everyone else. Who are we listening to?
Shana.
Are Shanat and Sabina mistaking Zoom for Skype, talking to each other?
Probably.
No, I am here.
No.
Okay.
I am here.
Anyway,
Hi.
like I was saying, hi Shanat.
Hi.
So, where are you? Where are you, Shanat?
Te mando saludos, Sabina. I am in my old school, in my secondary. And actually, I am in the classroom. But it's okay, I'm listening to you. Don't worry.
But why are you there?
Is this Mikey?
Sí. Yes, perfect.
So anyway, like I was saying, now, nationalism, like I said, exclusionary. It's about us versus them. We kind of see this when we look at the Olympics. Are you guys familiar with the Olympics?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Because I've been in classes where students are like, ¿Es de qué son las Olimpiadas? And I'm like, no. So in the Olympics, on one hand, we have unity and this whole feeling about how sports unite us and everyone can do sports. And everyone can do sports and like we all compete in the same things and everyone can do all the sports if they feel like it. And we watch everyone and everyone is welcome in this particular city that is hosting us. But at the same time, we are told that we have to cheer for a very specific country, usually ours, and even very similar countries are supposed to compete separately. Even super similar countries like the US Virgin Islands and the British Virgin Islands, same islands, same language, doesn't really make sense, but they compete separately. Separate flags, separate delegations, right? And when we win a medal, it's not like, oh yes, the sport is what matters, right? What do we see when someone wins a medal?
The nation?
Well, we see the flag,
country
we see the national
represents.
anthem, right? And if, for example, imagine Mexico wins a gold medal, there's the Mexican flag in the middle, el himno nacional mexicano. Are other countries allowed to be like, ah, ganamos, eh? Not really, right? It's like, no, we didn't win, Mexico won, right? So that's the nationalist aspect. Any questions?
Yes.
Tell
Because
us.
I arrived late. So
Tell us.
did you already explain the meaning of fatherland?
Fatherland? Yes, that's what we, well, weren't you here when we explained that? Anyway, can someone explain fatherland?
Please.
For Alexa.
The feeling that people belong to a certain place,
Regardless their social status.
Regardless of
regardless
social
of social
status.
status.
Right? So it's, and we see it in the NFL players' case. How? We already talked about this.
With the players asking for equality.
Acting for what?
For equality. They were acting for equality.
Yeah, so that we see it in that the government is telling these players, I don't care what you feel, you have to stand for the national anthem. And the players are saying, I actually don't care what you say, right? We're all equal, we all belong to this place, and I disagree with what this national anthem represents, right? It represents equality, but a concept of equality that doesn't really include me because I'm Black.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like for example, nationalism will be like following the rules established, and fatherland will be like deciding if those rules apply to how you feel about the place.
In this case, I would say yes.
Okay.
Now, the thing about associating nationalism with following rules is that sometimes nations don't match the rules, right? Think of Catalonia or Kurdistan or places like that, where there is, for example, there's a Catalan nationalism that is saying we are going to make a referendum. We don't care about your stupid laws. We're making an illegal referendum. It doesn't matter. So that's still nationalism, even though it's breaking rules, right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else? Any questions? No? No? No?
I have a question.
You have a question? Tell us.
What costume are you gonna wear on Halloween 2017?
We are going to talk about that in a few minutes, but let's close the topic of nationalism and fatherland first.
I just have one question, Francisco.
Yes?
Did they act against the anthem or against the people? Because you're saying because of the anthem says that, but the anthem doesn't talk about equality or inequality. They are against how people take it and the actions they do.
I believe it's actually against the anthem and the flag, because they say that anthem and that flag represent our oppression, right? I believe it's both. I actually got confused about that because I forgot that when in Mexico you salute the flag, but you stand for the anthem. Yeah. And in the United States, you put your hand on your chest for the anthem and you stand for the flag or something. So it's kind of different. So I got confused, but I believe it's both.
But also Trump was saying that crossing your arms was okay, right?
Yeah, I think so.
That.
And on one hand, you can't really believe what he says because he might be lying. But on the other hand, it depends on the country. I think here in Mexico, crossing your arms during the national anthem or the flag ceremony is what's it called? Disrespectful. No, disrespectful, but also this is kind of a Mexican education system spoiler, but it's super difficult for a Mexican child to fail any school year before prepa. It's super difficult. It's like almost impossible. It's almost impossible to justify failing a child in a school year that before prepa. But one of the reasons where there's basically no argument is if they disrespect the flag. True story.
Did it happen to you?
No, it did not happen to me. I heard this from someone, from a teacher.
But then Trump said this because a lot of coaches were doing that, right? And he didn't want to pay the authorities.
Yeah, it's really weird. And it's also, there's a bunch of pictures of Donald Trump disrespecting the flag. So
yes.
That's the problem with associating any of these topics with following the rules, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah. Any questions? Anything else? No? Okay.
Your costume. Talk about your costume.
Yes, moving on. Thank you, Sabina, for that transition. So, question number 3. What will be Francisco's Halloween costume in 2017? So a few things to note about this question is it's not about what I should wear, because a lot of people are suggesting things and saying this one would be perfect for you. And it's like, okay, I can see why, but that's not the question. The question is, what will I wear? Which means you have to look at probability, right? So in terms of what I want, what I may be able to achieve. That's my own voice. And I may be able to achieve.
You have a lot of possibilities. Your Instagram story was a lot of costumes.
Regina George.
And Nike says you should choose Regina George.
No, but there was one in your car.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you say the evidence suggests different things. If I'm taking pictures of something on the rack, and if I'm taking pictures of something on my shopping cart.
Oh, then I think I know.
And you even told us in class.
And the thing
because it's also on your Twitter.
Now, the thing is, you don't really have a definitive answer because Halloween 2017 hasn't happened. So you might have to answer something along the lines of the most likely scenario is this one for these reasons, right?
Okay.
Yes.
And it's all about using the evidence properly, right? Because I'm giving you a lot of evidence. You may have found more evidence, right? Maybe you asked my friends, maybe you've seen my social media, but at the same time, you need to realize that you don't really have the definitive answer until Halloween happens, right?
Okay.
So we're all gonna have it wrong.
Why? You need to
But
justify it properly, then it'll be correct.
Okay.
Yeah. It's all about using evidence and realizing that there is no definitive answer. So just like in history, where you can't be like, this is definitely what happened because you weren't there. In this case, you can't be like, this is going to be the costume because it hasn't happened, right? You don't know my life. You don't know what I'm going to decide.
Exactly. That's why it's a really weird question. Because
Kind of interesting that out of all the questions I've asked you, that's the one you're like, no, la respuesta.
But for
Okay.
example, can we answer multiple things?
Of course. Now, if you answer multiple things, you have to decide which one is the most likely, right?
Oh, okay.
And say why. You have to give reasons.
Okay.
You can't just make it up. Santiago, this is your phone, not a hand mirror. Like a... No. Ay, Dios mío, incluso sin tocación están ahí nomás riéndose Vanessa y Santiago. Anyway, anyone else? Any questions?
Yes. Me.
Shana, do you have a question?
Yeah. If we have like 3 options of question and we focus on one, but it's not the correct one, but in the options we have like the correct one, is it value?
Depends on your justification.
Okay. So we have like...
If you say something like, it's either going to be a ladybug or Regina George, because these are the 2 things that I found in the evidence, blah, 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 that's correct. That's fine.
Okay.
And if I already uploaded with another answer because
you can upload it again.
Didn't see it again?
Yeah, you can upload it. You can upload it twice. And you also need to stop uploading everything twice, please. Vanessa sends me like 5 emails and 3 Blackboard assignments with the same file. I'm like, no. Okay, it's okay.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but please don't do that.
Final work, and then no, this is the final work, and then no, this is the real final work.
I'm not saying it's bad, but please don't do that. Okay, any other questions? Great. Now, on Monday, next week, we're gonna start talking about other concepts, specifically nation, state, and community. But for now, I think this is pretty much everything you have to do. Do you have any questions about the projects or about the evaluations?
Yes, when...
Can't really hear you. I think your audio is having issues, Teresita. Oh, I can hear you. Yay.
Okay. Then if I already turned in the script, when are you going to check it?
Probably today or tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you upload it to the new assignment on Blackboard?
Yes.
Okay. I will check it there. I'm gonna check it in 2 tandas. 1 today and 1 on Tuesday.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else?
Francisco, for the video, can Alexa and I work together?
Yes,
we
of
don't
course.
Have a team.
Yeah, of course. She told me earlier, and I was like, yes, great. Honestly, I didn't want to be like, you do it together, because I thought like, well, maybe they already worked on their question and they just want to do it alone. But perfect. Just completely support collaboration. Yes. So if there are no, what? Yes? Someone? No? Okay. So if there are no questions, I will see you on Monday.
I have one question.
Tell me.
If we already sent you the script for you to check it, because we have a doubt if it is correct or not, like when can you tell us more or less how it is?
Probably today or tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, I was telling Teresita, I will do 2 tandas. I will check the ones that are up today and then see if there are any others on Tuesday.
Okay.
And for example, if you give us the feedback today, can we upload it tomorrow?
Hey, come on. Just do the feedback. ¿Cuántas veces? Dios mío. Okay. But sure, like if I give you feedback and you have a further question about what I said, ask me on Remind. But there's no need to upload 10 different versions. Okay. Anyone else? Ana, Alejandra, Elisa, Santiago, Javier, Leonardo. Any questions? Okay. See you on Monday. Have any questions? Talk to me on Remind or email. Bye.
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 Francisco.
No, wait.